Hello and welcome to this particularly special beard clipper video. Now, people that don't know, my father passed away tragically very shortly after Rosie was born, 2 weeks after she was born, without ever having actually met her in person, which was a horrible experience. I miss him every day, and he's always in my mind, massive inspiration to me, and I just try to be, I try to kind of channel him when I'm dealing with Rosie. He taught me so much. But one of the things about him was he loved aeroplanes, same as I do, and his favourite plane was the English Electric Canberra. So I bought a model of this, and I've decided to build a little, not a shrine, that's the wrong word, little kind of memory wall with some pictures of him, some pictures that he took. And then at the bottom of that, I wanted to have the Canberra on display. And that is what this video is. It's me building the Canberra, making a little display, a little kind of a diorama, and then putting it up on the wall. It's in the library, I walk past it every day, and it gives me great joy to see it and to remember just how much he loved his aeroplanes. It's a really cool thing. Because people come and go, that's life, but they leave memories behind. So bear that in mind yourself. You leave memories behind. The kind of person you are and the things that you do impacts others, and they remember you. So when you're gone, that's what you leave. So do remember that bit of philosophy there from me. But this is a very kind of cool video for me. I'm very much meaningful, as you can probably tell. So I really hope that you enjoy it, and maybe say if you've lost someone, it might inspire you to do something similar, to not mourn over, but to remind and put a smile on your face, because that's what it does for me. It puts a smile on my face when I see it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Leave me a comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you again at the end. It's getting close to the anniversary of my father passing. I didn't sleep at all last night. It does get to me quite a lot. And I've just been talking to Ryan from TCU, and he's made an excellent suggestion. I bought this and I was going to make this last year, but it was just too raw. This is my dad's favourite plane, the Canberra. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a start on it. I'm not going to target or put pressure under myself to finish this by the anniversary, but we're going to make a start on it, because it's going to be something I can do if I have more insomnia, which does happen around this time of year now. He's in my mind and my heart a lot. If I struggle to sleep, then I've got this to work on, and I can remember him while building this kit. So I did buy this quite a long time ago. It's been in my stash, in my mountain of opportunity, and as you can see, it's unopened and untouched. So what I'm going to do is take this out of its wrapping, have a look at it, read the instructions, and get started. And I will do this as a full build along, so I'll film every second of this. This is going to be an emotional build for me, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you and hopefully having a beautiful model at the end of it. So now we've got that out of the packing, let's have a look and see what we've got. I'm not entirely sure how good of a kit this is. It's from Mir, Micro Mir. I've not built one of theirs before, so we'll see. We'll see how much effort it's going to take and how much cleanup it's going to take. But certainly initially they look clean enough. I can't see huge amounts of sprue marks in mould lines. It does look like something's missing here though. Maybe not. Maybe there was nothing there ever. Hopefully this is a complete kit. There's the wings, and there's the body, the tail, and the body, or the nose and the body, and some engine parts. And then we've got some more single-use plastic. We've got some detailing here. So let's get this open. I'm going to leave the detailing and leave the transfers inside that plastic. I say that and I accidentally pull the transfers out. But let's have a quick look at this and see what it says about the sprues, and see if I think I'm missing anything. Hopefully I'm not. Doesn't seem to suggest that there should be any gaps. Let me have a quick look. So that's the B sprue. That's the D sprue, and that's okay to have a gap. You can see it's got a gap there, and it's got a gap there. We've got the A sprue. We've got the C and the E sprue.
We've got a couple of extra ones, I'm a bit confused by that. Don't know where that one is. I'm going to dig into this, stop filming now, there's no point in me going and ahhing. I'm going to try and work out what I've got here, unless there's some other... Ah, there's some other lists here. Ah yes, and look, it does say that these aren't here, so that's good. Good, okay. But however, what's this one? This one is... Yeah, so G is missing. It doesn't need those, it doesn't need that. Okay, yeah, so that's correct. So I'm absolutely fine. I'm absolutely fine, it doesn't have everything it needs. So that's a good start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself sorted out, get myself set up at the table, and snip out and start the first step. And this is going to be awesome. I'm very excited. I really am. I've been really looking forward to starting this. So let's go to step one and see what we can see. I have very little time right now, as Andrew is nearly home from school with Rosie, and it's snowing quite heavily. So I'm keeping my eyes very closely watch on the road, on the lane as they come up. It's really, really bad weather. But I'm going to start, and I'm just going to do at least step one, which is part 99 to part 95. And this is part 99 and this is part 95 here in the sprue. So just going to snip them off very carefully and clean them up and then glue them together. This part does involve some photo etch, which I'm not going to do now because I want to have a little bit more time and not want to dash away as soon as I get home. I do want to shout out to someone, and I can't remember who it is, and I apologise, and if it was you, please make yourself known in the comments below, who pointed out to me that I was being a bit of an idiot in not getting all of my glue out of my Tamiya extra thin, because, and this is something I just did not know, you can adjust the brush inside to make it extend a little bit further down, and then it will reach the bottom of the brush, of the pot. And I've done that and it works, and that's awesome. So I'm back to using my original Tamiya extra thin. I've taken the new bottle I opened the last time I was using Tamiya and I've put it away, so I can hopefully empty this before I start the next one. So yeah, there's that. So that's a little bit of filler while I clean up the marks where I snip this off the sprue, just using a sharp knife. I might actually go back to using my sprue cleaner, which is awesome, and I love it. So this is part 99, and you can see here that we have a little notch on the back. Just get that a little bit more there. And this is part 95, and I believe that they go together like that. Now I'm not exactly actually quite cleaned up part 99 correctly yet, so let me get that cleaned. But you can see that when that's together, it's going to follow the curve correctly. So get that cleaned up a bit more. So there we are, they're now nicely cleaned up, and that is going to glue on there, I believe. And then it sits onto part 78, which I might actually get now because I think that's going to hold it together a little bit better. So part 78 is going to be on here, and it's going to be that part there. So let me snip that off and clean that up as well. There we are. So that's going to make me a little bit more confident that I'm doing this correct, because it's going to sit around that little notch. So this is going to go on one side and this is going to go on the other. So having them with a little split, not totally sure. Oh, I see. No, look, there we are. I'm glad I did that. There's an angle, so it needs to be glued at an angle, and then that can sit in there. Yes, I'm glad that I did that, because that glues like that. That's better. And then that slots in around that little slot there. Perfect. There we are. Right, that just goes to show that sometimes taking a little bit more time is a good idea. Now, I use my Tamiya extra thing incorrectly. I'll make that very, very clear right now. But I do it like this, so it's got a little bit of grab, and it gives me a chance to get them in place. And then I can add the Tamiya in the way it's supposed to be added. So let me just get that there. Make sure it's all nicely lined up. And then this is how you're supposed to use the Tamiya. You're supposed to hold them together and let capillary action pull it in. There we are. So what we'll do is we'll sit that down on that, and then I'll run my glue along the back and along the front, then make sure it's lined up right. And there we are, we've made a start. We've made a start. So I'm going to stop now because I think they're going to be home very soon. I'll bring you back when I come to the next step. I've been looking forward to doing this. This is very awesome. So I haven't actually sat down at this for a couple of days, and I've been missing it. So I'm going to do a little bit now. It's a Saturday evening. Just finished doing my 22-minute painting, and what I'm now going to do is just a little bit of this. I've got a cup of tea. I'm not entirely sure. I said I was going to film everything that I'm doing on this, but I'm not entirely sure whether I am, because I think it might just get a bit samey. So I might focus more in on doing the showing the interesting or new bits or different bits, and then do the rest of it off camera, just because it'll be a bit samey, like I say. But as it happens, the first thing I need to do is actually a little bit different. So this is the photo etch, and I'm now just cutting the photo etch out of the sprue, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do, but this is one of the reasons why I like making kits like this. It forces you to just slow down and be careful. So you can see I've managed to separate that. That's part 13, photo PE 13, and on the instructions here, that red pit, that says PE 13, and that puts it here, and I think wrapping round, maybe, I'm not sure. It looks a bit odd. It doesn't look like it necessarily fits. So yeah, I'm going to have a quick play around with this and see whether I can get that to go in. What I need is some tweezers. I might get some better ones than these. These ones are probably a bit magnetic. Oh good, it's not magnetic. So pick the... I am too clumsy really for kits. But if I can do them, anyone can. As you can see, way too clumsy. Right, so I've got that now. So this is going to stick on there. Sticking out the side. However, the next picture doesn't show it sticking out the side, which is a bit odd. Okay, that's a bit confusing. So it doesn't show it wrapping around. I'm just going to stick it on without bending it. Sorry for the period of thinking then, but what I've got here is some super glue. You can't use plastic glue, obviously, to glue metal to plastic. So just a little bit of the super glue. This is super glue gel. And then what I'm going to do is drop that in place across there and leave it sticking out until I get to a later point where it will become clear, hopefully, whether I should bend it or not. Now I don't think I should bend it, and the main reason I'm saying that is that later on in the instructions there are places where they say do bend it, and they've got, you know, the angle to bend it to, but in this case they don't. That's not really sticking on very well either. There we are. Right, so there we are, that's the photo etch on. Photo etch is a interesting thing. It does look good, but it's a bit fiddly. Right, that was a longer clip than I expected it to be. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to carry on with the build. If I come to something that's interesting, then I will film again. And when, and obviously I'll keep bringing you along when it comes to something interesting. But for now, I'm just going to carry on. I've got to do the next step 3 times. Again, that's going to be a bit dull. And there is a lot of photo etch on it. As you can see, all the red numbers are photo etch. So there's a lot of photo etch on this. So I am thinking that this is possibly going to be a bit annoying. So yeah, I'll bring you back when I've finished, or when I come to the end of the building session, if I haven't come to anything more interesting to show you.
One thing that is very interesting though is look at that page there, look at that. What are they talking about? Can you read that? I can't read that. I think that's actually telling you exactly what everything is in the cockpit, which is pretty cool if they'd actually printed it out big enough to read. Well, that was fun for a certain value of fun. So I've made 3 seats that are here. There, 3 seats. But I've not done any of the photo etch on them, which is all of the photo etch in that area, just because I'm tired. It's been a long day. Rosie, Daddy Saturday, so tired Saturday. I also found that I've missed a section here, this tray underneath the cockpit. But I think that actually ended up being for the best, funnily enough, because I was able to put it in exactly the right angle, hopefully, and the right place, hopefully. Looking at it, looks pretty good. By putting the back on, which is actually from this step over here, so putting the back on here. And I've also tried to put that the map shelf on, but that was pretty tough. I've not glued the map shelf has stayed on nearly. It's a bit wonky. Yeah, it's really fiddly, this, really fiddly. I've stuck the side panel on for the cockpit, and I've created the front control surface and what have you, display panel, but I've not stuck it on because I think I want to do the stick first, which goes in that little hole there, which you can't see, just a second at the right angle, that little hole there. And I don't want to be putting the stick in after I've put the thing in on the front. So it's been a bit of a balancing act, this. There's been a lot of swearing, which doesn't go onto tape. But yeah, a lot of swearing in this. It's been very fiddly. I'm actually quite cold as well, so my hands are a bit clumsy. But progress. Progress indeed. I just hope that I'm doing it right and it's not going to look terrible when it's finished. But whatever it looks like, I'm going to get it done. So onwards. But I'm tired now. Finished my cup of tea. Going to wrap that up there. Tomorrow I will try and do the PE and finish off the cockpit at least. Oh, big yawn. Sorry. Then I move on to the next steps after that. But yeah, tired. Way too tired to deal with PE that's that small. So those things there, and yeah, tiny things. So that's going to be for tomorrow. So I've not done this for a little while. I've been thinking about it, but I've been very tired this week. Not been well, and Saturday just got a little bit of time now to spend a little bit more time on the build for my dad. I'm undecided at the moment whether I'm going to do the photo etch for the seats or not. It is going to be a big stretch for me, and I'm erring towards not, mainly because, as I say, it's going to be a stretch and I want to enjoy this. I don't want it to be stressful. But I sat down to look at it and realised that last time I was doing this I actually missed and misread the instructions and missed an entire piece out of each seat, which is plastic, which makes a lot more sense. So I was thinking that I was going to have to do the photo etch because the actual headrest of the seat was photo etch, but it's not. It's these little plastic bits. Part 51, if you're working or building along with me, and that is actually the headrest and the back of the seat. So I'm going to tidy those up, as you can see, using my little sprue removal tool, which is really good, better than a knife, just a little bit easier to use, and you get a slightly better result. So for a couple of quid it was worth it. I think I got it years ago and never used it, and then suddenly was like, hang on a minute. So yeah, so I'm just going to tidy these up, glue them in place, and then look at the next steps. And I think at the moment I'm not going to do the photo etch. It's just fiddly and not going to add to my joy for the build, but it will be something which I'll do and learn as I get better and better at these. Maybe in another future build I can. I didn't pay more for these. I didn't add the photo etch, so I don't feel too bad not using it. So yeah, so I'm just going to sit down for a little bit. I've got about 20 minutes or so, not long. I'll bring you back in at the end and show you what I've done. But the first thing I'm doing is I missed this part here, which is plastic to go on the back of each of these chairs, which is what I made last time I was at the desk. So I'll get that done and move on as much as I can, and I'll report back when I've finished up this little session.
So yeah, I've decided against doing the photo etch. So as you can see, I've done the cockpit a little bit better. I've put the two parts of the chair together like I said I would, and then put it in place. I have a Xena wriggling around. She does like to be part of these clips. She wants to go and play. The other thing I've done is the first section, number 5, but what I found is there's actually a mistake. It says to use part number 62 in number 5 and part number 53 in number 6, but I've proven to myself that that's just wrong. That's backwards. Part number, so they need to be kind of swapped over. So if you're building this, just pay attention to that. Fair warning, it looks like there might be some mistakes in numbering in the instructions, which is a bit rubbish. But from a very wriggly, nippy, bitey Xena, I'm going to wrap this up for now. So I need to go downstairs and start cooking soon. And yeah, I'll come back and I'll probably do the other half of this. I might not get time today, but yeah, really nice to have actually got to this a little bit today. This has put a smile on my face. Well, today has been a pretty difficult day, pretty rubbish, not been feeling very well at all. Rosie's been very sick. It's just a cold, we think. But yeah, been tough. Tough with work, and felt like I haven't really achieved very much. So this evening, I've sat down and I've worked on my dad's plane, and that's always going to put a smile on my face. So I've assembled two halves of the fuselage and the two rear tailplanes. I've also assembled this little box, and I've assembled the other side. I did the first one the other day, and I've assembled that. So I'm going to finish now because it's now getting late and I need to get to sleep so I can try and work tomorrow. But that's a really nice little bit of progress. I think actually this is going to pause very slightly. I've purchased the correct paints to paint the whole miniature. The exterior, but what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to paint the cockpit, because the next step involves locking it in, and it's going to be a bit difficult to paint, I think, when it's in the cockpit. Now I might change my mind when I look at it. I might find it's okay, but I do think that might end up being a little bit tight. So what I might do is paint the cockpit, get the cockpit completely finished and painted before I put it inside the plane. I will be doing this with wheels down, and you will be able to see in the cockpit. It will be probably will be mounted, and so I can hang it on the wall. That's what I'm thinking. I'll put it on I'll put it on a little dioramic base that I can then put a hook on, similar to what I did with the Voyager, and I can have that hung up in here and look at it all the time. So you will be able to see inside, so I'm keen to make sure that that looks good. So yeah, so that's might be what I'll come to next, but it's been really nice to get a little bit of time into this. As I say, bit of a smile on my face after a tough day, and it's good to be making some progress. I'm really enjoying the build. It is tough though. It's not very good instructions. The pictures are not very good. It's not very clear. It's not an easy kit to make, but I'm going to get there. I'm determined to do it. I'm not going to give up. Well, it has truly been far too long since I did any work on this. This is, of course, the Canberra, which is my father's favourite plane. And that there, oops, if it will stay in shot, that there, oh, it's not even in shot, I've not got it focused, is a bit of PE, a bit of photo etch. And this is why I'm rubbish at these things, because that is tiny. Look at it, that little thing there. I've just spent a few minutes pulling it off, the photo etch sprues, so it's these. They are actually the seat belts. And you can see that I have made the cockpit, and I decided to not bother putting them on, but I've now decided I'm going to give it a go. So let's see. I am not very good at this. So what we're going to do is see if there's any glue in this glue first of all. There is. Oh, way too much there. Let's just waste it over here. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dab of glue in here, just there, and a dab of glue at the bottom, and then I'm going to try, this is very hard to keep in focus because it's so tiny, so let's see if this works. I will not do any more of these on camera, and if this fails I'll probably swear and give up. So I've just taken that out of shot just to make sure I've got it the right way around, because it is actually a specific way round and a specific up down, I believe. So there we are. So what we want, these needle-nose pliers are superb. Look at them there. It's just so tiny. Right, let's see if we can do this. Let's get this in. Wow. I only went and did it. Look at that. I did it. I didn't get it very well in shot, obviously, because it's a bit fiddly. But I did it. I did it. So now I've got to do 5 more, which are not going to be done on camera. But there we are. Great joy, great pleasure for me to get back to this. I stopped doing it for so long because I just didn't feel competent or capable for some reason. I felt like I was going to fail, and it's a very important build for me. So I stopped. But that's no way to act, is it? So I've started again. Anyway, once I've glued these on, I'm going to paint the cockpit area. Let me zoom out a little bit more. It's just super zoomed in. I'm also going to paint the interior of the cockpit area inside the actual fuselage. And then the next bit is gluing the 2 parts together with the cockpit inside. So that's why I need to get those painted and done. So yeah, let's. I'm going to crack on a little bit more with these. This photo etch. There is actually some photo etch which supposedly is going to go on this bit here, which I might do as well if this goes well. And then I'll bring you back once I've finished painting. That's the next time I'll bring you onto this project. And when I'm about to glue them together, I'm not going to do very many regular updates on this. I think that's also one of the reasons I kind of put off. I just want to enjoy it, but I will keep the vlog appraised of how it goes, and when it's finished, obviously, I'll be very pleased. So yeah, a really nice way to spend the end of a very enjoyable day. We went to Greece today, had a fantastic time, and this is a really nice way just to relax after lots of driving and think about my dad, which is always a good thing. Well, this is proving to be quite a difficult kit to put together, and I'm not sure whether I blame the kit or my lack of ability. It's more likely to be my lack of ability, but you can see just how much of a gap there is at the front here. I probably didn't do anything right at all, and so that's why it's wrong. But what I'm hoping I can do is sand some of this down, fill some of those gaps, and make it look good enough. And that's just going to be the experiment, and that's what's going to happen, because yeah, this is now buttoned up and glued. As you can see, lots of clamps holding it together. But I've got a problem at the front of the fuselage and inside the cockpit. First model like this I've made for quite a long time, so I probably have made mistakes, but if I show you the instructions, they're not really very good. And the angle at this back bit here, for example, is very important, and that wasn't clear. And fitting this little bit on here, which is the piece underneath, which goes there, was really rather annoying as well. However, it's buttoned up. I've got to that stage. Gonna let that all dry now, then try to close that up and fix up this cockpit mistake I've made, and then it's going to be the case of putting on all the little bits and pieces, attaching the wings, and then painting it. So yeah, very pleased to be getting on with this. A bit disappointed that it's not going to be as perfect as I wanted, but it's going to be as good as I can do it, and that's all that matters. And it's going to be a wonderful memory of my dad, and that's really all that matters. Well, it took quite a lot of clamps, quite a few different iterations, and a little bit of taking this out from the front of the cockpit, which you can't see because of the lights, and putting it back in place. Still got a little bit more the return side of the cockpit to put in, but that's now not so bad. The gaps are quite small, and it's all fitted together, so I'm very pleased with that. So I'll just finish fixing up the cockpit, put that last bit back on which has fallen off, and then I'll move on to the next steps. But that was the biggest thing that was concerning me, obviously, because yeah, it really wasn't looking like it was going to fit together. So yeah, just a little bit of patience, do a little bit at a time, glue the back, then glue the middle, then glue the front, and what have you, and that worked out really well. Well, that was a very enjoyable evening. Been sat watching Coffee House Crime. If you don't watch his videos, go watch them, they're awesome. And assembling the plane, my dad's plane. So I've made really good progress, as you can see. Got quite a bit of filling to do, but I've managed to get the wings done, the tailplane on. make the engines. Got two parts of the engines which will slot on the front there, and put another couple of bits and pieces on. Wasn't the easiest thing in the world. This kit isn't the most accurate in the world. As I said, there's going to be some filling going on. That'll probably be the next thing I do, to be honest. But I don't care, I'm loving it, and I'm really pleased to be making progress. And what else can I say? Just a nice way to spend a Friday night. Just chilling, making planes, thinking about my dad and watching superb YouTube content. So yeah, I'll be back with another update on this when I've done a little bit more. But for now I'm just pleased that, yeah, it's cracking on. Well, last night I managed just about to get one of the wings on, but this has been a bit of a pain actually. The instructions on this kit aren't great. As you can see, I've had to open the wing, split it open slightly so that it would actually fit in and be the correct shape, which is not made very clear on the instructions. If you're making this kit, I would maybe even recommend that you stick the bottom wing on first, then stick the top wing on, then put these front and back bits of the engine on. You'll get a much better result. So what I'm about to try and do now is put the other wing on. I'd let that overnight to go off. So I'm going to try and put the other wing on, and hopefully that will work, and then we'll be not far off time for painting, which is very exciting. So yeah, just going to get this done. Just doing it little bits and pieces. It's nice to be back to the project though. Well, this has been incredibly frustrating, but I'm getting there. I really do think I am. And there's loads of problems with the instructions and the order in which they tell you to do things. And yeah, so if you're going to be making this kit, then I've made the mistake so that you don't have to. So first of all, basically, what you really should be doing is not sticking the wings together before you attach them to the fuselage. You can see here that I've actually just a second attached the top of the wing to the bottom of the wing. But what you need to do, and I've taken these apart 3 or 4 times now, what you need to do is stick the bottom of the wing on underneath, and once this is dry I'll come and do a little bit more of a clearer video, but stick the bottom of the wing on, let it dry, and then the top of the wing actually butts up against this little protuberance here. It doesn't go over the top. Now, probably if I'd realised that, and if I paid a bit more attention, you can see actually when I just offer it up, you can see there's a little bit of overlap, which is absolutely fine. You're not looking at lining this side up with that, you're looking at lining it at the wingtip end, which means this is slightly further out there, which is how it slots in underneath this shape, and then the top of the wing aligns with the top of that shape. It's really not clear in the instructions. As I've been over this, I've taken the wings apart, literally sliced with my knife down between to undo the glue 3 or 4 times. Finally got there, finally feeling a bit happier. While I'm doing this, one of the tail planes fell off, which is a shame on the rudders, which is a shame, but I'll glue that back on. But I'm getting there. Nothing worthwhile is easy. This hasn't been easy, but it's definitely worthwhile. So yeah. Yeah, just really happy that I've worked it out, and we're moving forwards. So I think I've got to a point where what I want to do now is filling. Now you notice I've not put any of the undercarriage or anything like that on. That's because I want to paint inside, and then I'm going to assemble and paint the undercarriage separately and then glue them in place. If that works or not, we'll find out. But what I'm going to do now is use some of my Mr. Hobby, Mr. Dissolve putty to fill in the humongous and egregious gaps that there are. So you can see just around here, particularly around this tail plane, there's gaps everywhere. So I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna film it all because, well, it'll be a bit boring. But what I'll do is let's pick that gap back there, the top of the tail plane, and I'll show you how I go about doing this, and then I will just crack on with the rest of it. Yeah, so I always use a toothpick to apply this stuff. I find it means you get a good accurate application, as you can see, and also it doesn't ruin your paintbrushes, which is also a bonus. So what I'll do is I'll apply some. It does go off quite quickly, so it's got a nice working time. You're not going to be sitting ages waiting. put a little bit over here as well. And then as it kind of turns into a little bit of paste, you can kind of encourage it a little bit more. Take it off the fuselage where you don't want it. And yeah, you might end up having to do 2 or 3 applications of this, but I much prefer it to using things like green stuff or milliput for this kind of thing. And obviously once this is dried, it is sandable, so you better come in with a sanding stick. Thank you again to companies now. Squiffy Dragon, was it? For sending those. I've been using them actually, they're really, really good. There will be a proper video about that. But I have started using them. So anyway, yeah, so I'm going to do this for all my gaps. There's another bad one there. So we can get some putty, some dissolved putty, and just like slide it in, like so. I really like this stuff. It was a brushstroke quality YouTube channel. If you don't go and follow him yet, go check him out. Superb painter. But it was brushstroke that recommended this to me, and he was right about it, you know, because it's very, very good. Anyway, I'll get all this filled, and I'll bring you back when I get to the sanding stage. I've finished filling, and I came up with a really nice way of doing it actually. Put some of the filler on, and you could probably do this with like a wipe or with a slightly damp towel, but I've been using my finger, as you can see. And you just put it on, and then just very quickly afterwards you wipe it down, and that gives you a really nice smooth finish. Now some of these aren't very smooth just because I didn't make it very well, but I'm not worried about that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of these awesome sanding blocks that I got sent by Stubby Dragon, and I'm going to sand down that filler, which I'll do tomorrow. I'll let this all dry now, and then finally I can start to paint. I better prime this and then start to put some paint on, which is absolutely superbly. I can't tell you how excited I am about that. Very excited, not least because once I finish this I'm going to start on an SR71 Blackbird, which is my favourite plane, and I have an awesome diorama to do for it, but that's by the by, nothing to do with this build. I'm very excited to get this done and get this on the wall as well. So anyway, yeah, sanding next. I'll bring you along when I get to it. Well, yesterday I did some sanding and then totally forgot to film because it was so quick. I'm really, really pleased with how it's come out. So good and easy to use. And then I started priming. So I primed the top, haven't done the bottom yet. Probably going to do another coat on the top, and then do the bottom as well. I'm priming with a brush, using just with a normal paintbrush, and I'm not disappointed. There's a few streaks, but it's not so terrible. I've managed to get it really, really good in this spot, so I'm going to just do another coat and hopefully that will resolve it. In no way is this going to be a pro level model. I am not a pro level scale model builder. I need to have a lot more practice to get good. But hey, I'm very pleased with how it's looking, and it's really nice to be making progress. So yes, I'm going to keep priming that, and I'll bring you back when it's finished priming. I'm about to start painting, which is cool. I'm also wondering whether, once I've primed it, whether I might paint the inside of these and then do the undercarriage and then carry on from there. And also there's a few little bits that I've not put on yet on the top, which I also think I should stick on. So there might actually be a little bit more assembly to do before I start properly painting, but I'll bring you along when I come to try to make that decision. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how that's come along. So I've done a couple of coats of primer, and I'm very happy with the finish I've got now. That's perfectly fine for me. So what I'm going to start to do is going to start to put some paint on it. Now I have not yet still put the little things on the top, but they're going to be painted a different colour, so I'm not that bothered. And I am actually probably going to paint the bottom first and paint inside the wheel wells, as I've said, because then once they're done I can then put the wheels in place, put the undercarriage, everything in there, and the doors, and then I'll be able to finish and paint around them again. In terms of the top, I am going to be putting the cockpit on, obviously. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to be putting the cockpit on, so don't wonder why I've not done that yet. Definitely going to be having that on there. So I'm going to start painting. I actually went and bought all of the paints that I think I need. Let me just reach them from over on my desk. I actually ordered them especially for this project. and here they are. I got them from AK Interactive, which I don't often use. But yeah, so the underneath is light aircraft grey, and I have light aircraft grey here. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this. Oh no, there's light aircraft grey. That's light grey, light aircraft grey. So yeah, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. As you can see from the picture, it goes halfway up, kind of thing. So yeah, I'll bring you along when I've done a couple of coats, so that show what it looks like, and also we'll then be starting to assemble the undercarriage. So I'll show you how that looks also. But it's really cool to be making this progress. I'm very pleased. I'm not sure how well this is going to film, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do anyway, and then if it doesn't film well, I'll probably continue off camera. So as you can see, I've started to paint, and I've done quite a nice, I'm happy with the paint job for the bottom of the aeroplane. And if we have a look at this, you can see that there's a nice strong line that needs to go along here to underneath the ring, and then here there's a little bit of a kind of an interesting curve. So the light bit that I've done is here, and then you have to do a darker colour on the top. And I have this masking tape, which is actually proper masking tape that cost me a fortune, and I've had it for years and never touched it. Just had it in this little kind of receptacle, which is quite cool. And what I'm going to do, let's see how well I could do this, is run a line, so I don't actually want that bit, run a line of it along the bottom of the, there we are, that cuts nice. And what it does is it goes from the bottom underneath this little nacelle here, it goes, that's the front, yeah, so it goes in a straight line back to the, like that, come on, there we are. So I'm going to mask that like that, there we are, and then at the back here it actually needs to be a little bit straighter, so I'm going to need to put another one in that goes from here and then allows me to, because what I need to do is mask off where I want the white to be, so it actually does go a little bit. So this is quite hard. So I think I want to do that. There we are, that's better. There we are, that's better. So that's the line, and then I'm going to need to put a little bit more at the back here to cover off. So that's just out of shot to cover this little bit here. So I'll finish this off camera because it's a bit difficult to do on camera, but at least you've started to see the process. And then when that's done, I'll turn it over and I'll paint all the top in this darker colour, and then we're going to get the wheels in, put the additional bits and pieces that go on top as well that we painted in black, and then I can start working on the base for it, which obviously is the bit that I'm very excited about. But I'm also very excited just to be working on this again because time has not been my friend this last week, and I expected to get this done right beginning of the week and actually be painting by today, but it is what it is, life is what it is. I'll finish masking, and I might actually bring you along for the painting, show you what it looks like masked, and then bring you along a little bit for the painting, because that might be quite cool. Right, so I've given that a good go. I'm not massively happy with how I've done the tail, but it'll do. But yeah, so that's masked off, so now we're going to be able to paint the top. But I've decided that I'm going to actually stick the cover on, stick the cockpit on, because actually I need to paint most of this cockpit, which is a bit odd. I'm not sure why they did it like that. It would have been better to have had the plastic, have the cockpit kind of slot in from underneath, and because you've got to paint all of this around, it's just the bubble that stays unpainted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that in place, leave that overnight, and then I'll prime it, and then I'll paint everything the same. So I'll need to prime that basically. But I have finished inside there, so this is okay, and I'm actually just going to use a little bit of super glue gel to do this. So I think that's going to be the best way to achieve what I need to. But it does mean I'm not going to be able to paint this tonight, which is a shame, so I was going to. But I do need to get this in place. But what I might do, I'm just having a bit of a quiet evening of not much hobbying, but I just want to get this done. What I might do is start to assemble the undercarriage, because I think that might be the next thing to do. So there we are. I am not going to paint that until tomorrow because super glue destroys brushes. So yeah, a little bit more, a little bit further along. So I might have a look at these undercarriage, see if I can start to assemble them. But otherwise, I'll leave that until tomorrow.
Well, I had a few people saying that they would like to see the painting process that I'm going through for the camera. So I just got to getting the top coat, the coat on the top on. So what I have here is AK Interactive Camouflage, RAF Camouflage Beige Hemp, which is the perfect paint according to my instructions, and I'm going to go with those. This is the version 2 of the Red Grass Wet palette, and I must admit I'm absolutely loving it. So anyway, so I'll use a larger brush. This is an Army Painter one, Wargamer Regiment brush. For this sort of thing I use a larger brush. And I've got a pot of water just out of sight here, just there, which I use to keep my brush nice and moist. And what I do, the way I paint it, very simply, is as they say, 2 thin coats, but just taking it easy. I keep my brush quite regularly in the water. Can sometimes cause problems with bubbles, as I've got there, but they work out over time because I'm never in a rush. And I'll just try to put as smooth a coat over as possible as I can. This will be much easier with an airbrush, but yeah, I fail hard at airbrushing. Still, haven't tried really for about a year now. Maybe that should be my challenge for next year. What do you reckon? Actually get the airbrush working. I'd like to. I spent a lot of money on it, and I think it would make this sort of thing super easy, not take half as much time. But then, this isn't a race, is it? And I get an okay result in the end. Anyway, I'm not going to film too much of this because it's just going to be very much like what you're seeing here. The main things, if you're interested in my technique, is the wet palette, and I also do, as you can see, very regularly make the thin the paint just with water on the brush, which helps me to get a nice smooth finish when I'm trying to do such large areas with the brush. And I will probably end up doing 2 coats, because that will make it a much nicer finish as well. But yeah, there we are, that's me painting. And I actually just want to say that thank you to whoever it was that did say they wanted to see this, because probably this evening I wouldn't be painting this if I wasn't thinking, you know what, I should get a clip for the vlog of me doing this. So thank you. Anyway, onwards. I will get this done and then bring you along for the next step, which will probably be undercarriage and then transfers. Because there's not all that, there's not many different colours on this. There's the top, the bottom, and a couple of little bits of detail, but not much else than that. So this is actually nearly finished, which is awesome. Anyway, enough rambling. Now I'll get back onto this now. I've finished the basic painting. What I thought I'd do is, on camera, I thought I would peel off my little bit of masking and show that it worked. I mean, it's a little bit iffy at the back here. It's not quite the curvaceous that they show on their picture. Oh, I'm going to just stick that to everything. However, it certainly is good enough for me. So I'll peel all this masking tape off, and then the next thing I'm going to work on is going to be the undercarriage, and then it will be a case of going to the decals, transfers, whatever you want to call it. I call them decals because that's what my dad used to call them. So yeah, there we are. We have the basic colour done, and like I said, I'm pretty pleased with how it's worked out and how that looks. So yeah, so I've got to paint inside. I've realised I came up here to film this and realised I hadn't painted up inside here, so I'm going to paint inside here the same colour as the underneath. I don't know what it should be, and frankly you won't see it because this is going to be sitting maybe front on
to the view with wheels down, so you're not going to see that anyway, but I still want to paint it. So I'm going to paint the inside of that, and then I'll get stuck into the undercarriage, and I'll bring you along when I'm assembling the undercarriage, show what it looks like, and then we'll glue them in place, and then it'll be decal time. So yeah, it's got lots of problems with the build. You can see just how bad the fuselage around here is. That's just shameful, and I'm quite upset myself, and I might even end up building one of these again and replacing it. But for now, this is good. It's I'm building it for my dad, not for any other reason, but just in memory of him. So yes, I've got to paint those, and I've got to paint the insides of the engines as well, which is going to be metallic, obviously, and the insides of the back. So when I've done that and I've finished the painting properly, I'll bring you along and we'll have a look at doing the undercarriage. This week I've been pottering away on the plane, and as you can see, I've got the undercarriage in place now. There's a few little bits and pieces that need to be done, and I need to paint it. But yeah, I've not been filming it very much because I've just been doing it in like a minute here and a few minutes there, and just nice to be so close now to getting this ready for basing. So yeah, I decided to show that. I'm not filming very much at the moment, just for various reasons, but I am still cracking on with this, and this is now really is reaching the point of basing it and putting it and hanging it on and mounting it underneath the picture of my dad, which I cannot wait to do. So yeah, really happy. It won't take me very long to finish from this point, and once it's painted I will bring you along for the basing, and I will then be doing another plane straight after. I'm going to crack on. I've got lots and lots of planes to do, and I'm going to do another one, and I will do that as a separate video. But yeah, really happy to have just managed to get, literally a second ago, got the final little bit of this, which were the inside doors of that there. Got them glued in place. Bit of a fiddler. You can see that I've got my very fine tweezers, which have helped a lot. But yeah, that's cool. So I'll start painting that tomorrow, hopefully get that done, and we'll be able to start basing. So now I am ready for the transfers. I've finished painting. I realised late that I should have painted the tail red, so I did that, and I've also varnished it so that the transfers will go on nicely. So yeah, next up we'll be doing the transfers. I'm not going to do it now because it's quite late, but I did just want to quickly show that I've also got myself a little a shelf thing that I'm going to put it on. This is going to be the base, and I've offered it up, and this fits really nicely. I may trim it a little bit, take an inch or so off the front there, but that's about all I might do. At the moment it fits in really nicely in the space that I've got, but I might just trim an inch off the front. I'm going to decide on that. But then I'm going to do something similar to what I do for my chopping board dioramas. I'm going to have this sat. You can see it's a tail sitter. I should have put weight in the nose, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to glue it down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put basically a tarmac section at an angle, and I'll leave wood showing as well. So I will stain this probably first, paint it with glue both sides, stain it, and then build the diorama, but leave the wood showing, because that's kind of how I like to do those. So it's a little bit of a like stylized thing that I've got going, which I really like. And then when that base is done, which I'll do on camera, we'll stick this down, glue it in place, mount it onto the wall, and then every time I look at the picture of my dad that Angela got me for my 40th, the model of the plane that he loved will be below it. Now, it's not the best job. It's probably the worst job I've done for a long time in terms of making a model, but I'm very pleased to have done it. And if and when I buy another one of these and do it better, I can always replace this on the display. But I think I'll probably keep it because this was done in memory of my dad, and I'm very pleased that I've got here and done it. So yeah, next up, transfers and starting to actually work on the display. Well, as you can see, I've got myself some of my thin XPS that I like to use for this sort of thing, and cut it so that it's completely covers the top of the base. However, that's not how I want it to be. As I've said, what I want to do is to have it so it's going to wood on either side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it so that it looks like it's a runway, like that. So I'll chop those corners off like that. So let me get that done now quickly. Just have a look and see the width. The width there is about 22, and the width there's, I did that exactly, 22 exactly both ways. So we'll just trim that down. I've got my sharp knife here. Actually move the wood out of the way. Use the cutting board for what it's there for. The cutting board, the cutting mat. And then I'll get my wire, brush and score up both sides, and then I'll glue it in place using the grabby glue that I use, because PVA just doesn't cut it for this kind of stuff. Actually, I've had it fail on me a few times, PVA now, particularly with the temperatures that we get. It gets a bit cold and the PVA just gives way. So you can see there we have a strip of a runway, which looks really well actually. What I'll then probably do actually is I'm going to just trim these edges so that it's not quite such a sharp edge. So I'll just kind of bevel that down a bit, like this. There we are. There we go. So as I say, get yourself a wire brush and score into this insulation, particularly if you get the stuff that's shiny like this, because it will not hold anything and it will not stick if you don't. Then this makes a nasty sound, so I will skip over this. There we are. So already that's got a nice texture to it, but that's not going to be the last of what I do. However, I'm going to glue this down and weight it down and leave it overnight to go off. I can use my grabby glue on this. There we are, brilliant. So I'll let that dry. Well, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to stain the wood. I was going to, so I'm going to have a quick look at my wood stains and have a decide, because I can do that now while I wait for this to go off as well, just to redeem some time and get this done a little quicker. But whether I do that or not, I'll bring you back. But the next thing that I need to do is to start putting the transfers on the plane. And there are a lot of transfers. If I can find the transfer sheet, there it is. There's a lot of very small transfers, as you can see. So I'm going to sit down now and do these. I'll show you how I do the first one or two, and then I'm going to sit down, put a YouTube video on, and just get stuck into it. So yeah, I'll get myself ready and show you how I do transfers. I'm not a major expert, but they're relatively easy, transfers are, so yeah, and I'll show you how I do that, so I'll be back in a second. Right, so let's get this done. Here is the instructions, and each of those numbers is basically a transfer. So what we're going to do, I'm going to actually do the bottom first, which is number 12. So on the sheet, you can see here, we have number 12. What I've got here is a pot of hot water, not baking hot but hot enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully cut out these transfers from the sheet. So I've got a knife and I'm just scoring these out. So if I just drop the camera down, you can see. So just very carefully cut these out. There we are. So now we've got those transfers ready. What I'll do is I'll drop them into the hot water. And that helps them to separate off from the sheet. Now what you then want is some tweezers, and I also use Microsol and Micro Set, which I really do highly recommend. So Microsol and Micro Set is the way that you basically can get a really good attachment, and also a good it actually conforms to all of the kind of like shapes and what have you that you've got on your plane or on your kit. So I'll get a couple of soft brushes. Don't have to be nice brushes, these. I've just got a whole pot full of these up here. And what I'll do is, if you look at the back, it says first brush Micro Set onto the model where the decal is to be applied. So this is the Micro Set blue. So we'll very carefully take that, and where it's going to be applied is basically here. So just there. So I put some Micro Set there, and then I'm going to put the lid on because I'm clumsy. What I then do is I come along with my tweezers, go into my warm water, and this roundel is now loose and comes out really nicely. So there it is. And what we'll do is we'll just drop this in place like that. Okay, perfect. So then a little bit of tissue just to take the excess off. There we are. And then you paint your Micro Sol on top, and this is what conforms it. And you can accidentally move it or deliberately move it, whichever you want. And I need to move it because it's not quite in the right place. Just looking at the instructions, it needs to be against that line. There we are. So there we are. I want to make sure that stays there. So what we then do is we then carefully paint the Micro Sol on, and that will help it to stick. So there we are. That's it. So like I say, I'm going to do the rest of them, as many as I can tonight, and then just work through it for the next couple of days probably, to be honest. And I'll show you what it looks like when I've finished. That's how I do transfers. Well, this has literally been a nightmare. This is the morning after. This is as far as I got last night, and I kind of threw my toys out. This is so fine. I broke it in so many areas. You can see I managed to get the shape right here, but on this side, it all just fell apart. Really, really fine. And trying to cut them out and not cut them in half was very, very difficult. I have, I think, nearly finished doing the fine yellow lines, I hope. And then hopefully the rest will be relatively simpler, which is kind of why I picked doing the fine lines first. But yeah, not easy at all. And yes, I gave up. And I gave up in such a rush that I left the lid off my Micro Sol, which I don't often do. Anyway, yeah, onwards and upwards. But if you do this kit, do bear in mind you need to be incredibly careful and a little bit lucky, and maybe more talented than I am, to get these transfers on without breaking them. So I decided now I'm going to stain the wood. I've got this, which is wood stain, and it is just very light. So it won't give very much colour, which I'm happy with, but it will just preserve it. So I'm going to actually stain the whole of it. So first of all, I'm going to stain this top bit, and then when that's gone off a bit, I'll stain the underneath as well, just to keep it preserved, because this is very, very important to me, as you all know. And once this is done and dried, then I'll do the texture, which will give it the correct give it the correct texture for tarmac. I might do cement, I'm not sure, but anyway, it's all the same technique until I get to painting it. So I'll do that, but I want to get this done first, and this will take a while to dry. It's cold now, so it doesn't go off as quick. So I'll just do a couple of coats of this, and then it will be ready for me to do the next step. So yeah, I might lift that onto a little tray, and then I can do the sides as well. So let me just grab a tray. There we are. And what I can do is come along the sides and stain them as well. So anyway, I'll get this done. I'll bring it back for the next step, which on this will be applying the texture to the pavement. But I'm also currently really fighting the transfers, as I've said. Really fiddly. I'm nearly done on the horrible ones. Hopefully the rest of them are going to be relatively easy. But that was a tough old session doing those lines, and kind of put me off a bit. So I'm not very impressed with that, with the results I got. But anyway, I'll keep this on, and I'll bring you back for the next step. Alright, so the transfers are coming on. I've managed to do the tail and that very slowly, because it's proven to be quite an annoying transfer process. What I'm going to do now is apply the texture to the runway. So I've got myself my masking tape, which is very sticky, and I'm just going to mask off the wood on either side. So I want this to be nice, and any overflow I don't want to be going on the wood, because it will dry immediately, because it will just soak straight into the wood and you won't be able to remove it. So just mask that off like that. And then here is my mix. So I've done this many times, and I do have another video showing exactly how I make this, which I will attempt to remember to link above and below. But if you look in my basics, you'll find it. This is basically grout, like tile grout, mixed with a little bit of very fine sand or dust, PVA, glue and some water, and it works very well for what we're trying to do here, which is tarmac or cement if I decide to dry brush it grey, which I might do, we shall see. Anyway, so I'm just going to apply this over the whole of the area, and the stripes and the strokes actually work well for tarmac, because they have little striations in them often because of how it's laid down. And when this is dry, you need to do one coat of this normally. It's a very quick process. You will have a very convincing hard standing or what have you. So it's a really good tip, really good technique this, for lots of different things. So yeah, stop filming now, because all I'm going to do is that, and I'll bring you back when I come to put any markings, which I might very well do. I might put some line markings on, and I just realised that I should also have masked off the side, so I'm going to mask off the side as well now before I do any more. But I'll bring you back when that's dried and when I'm on to the next step. Well, that's turned out really nicely. I'm not sure if I'm going to paint it. It's got a nice little bit of variation in it naturally, as you can see, and I think that if I paint it lighter, it might actually give me a little bit of an incorrect kind of contrast with the plane. Now also you can see I've been continuing to do my transfers on the plane, just sitting steadily working through them. I've still got quite a lot to do, but that's all I've got left to do now, because what I can quickly peel off my masking and the base is pretty much done. A really simple job, really simple technique, but it works really well, and it's going to just be enough for what I was looking to achieve with this build. So yeah, so I'm just going to keep cracking on, like I say, in the evenings with my doing off all of the transfers on the plane, and then I'll glue the plane in place because I'll have to, because it's a tail sitter, as I say. Should have put weight in the nose really, but never mind. And no, but I want to glue it in place anyway so it doesn't get knocked off. And then that can be mounted up underneath the picture of my dad. So next time we'll come back to this will be when it's all done and I'm gluing it in place and I'm about to actually stick it on the wall. Well, it's far from perfect. In fact, it's pretty badly done, but it is done, and I'm very happy having finished it, and I'm very happy having done this. This build for my dad has taken up a long time. It's not been done as quick as I expected it to, but now it's done. I'm really looking forward to getting this mounted on the wall, and I can look at it every day when I walk past, as I do, say hi to my dad in the picture that Angela bought me, and this will be mounted below it. So what I need to do is I need to glue it down. So I'm going to do that using super glue, and I'm going to need to gently weight down the nose. As you can see, it is a tail sitter. So I will get that done and then show you what it looks like, because I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. So I'm just going to have a little bit of an explore, and I'll show you what it looks like. Probably next time you see this, it will be on the wall in place. Well, there we are. I just got my builders to put that on the wall, because I'm just a bit busy to be drilling and hammering and stuff. However, what we've got is we have the plane. I'm just weighting the nose down while the glue goes off. And there's my dad. Miss him so much, it's horrible. God. But that is awesome, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm very, very pleased. And this is my chair that I sit on in my library. So that was my 40th birthday present for Angela, the picture. And now I've got the plane up. And so I can sit there. My little memory of my dad next to me, which is awesome. So there we are. How cool is that? So one of the chores I managed to get done this week, which I'm really pleased about, here is the Canberra that I made and the painting of my dad, which I've had it for a while. When I was at my mum's on my holiday, I picked up a load of pictures that my dad used to have on his office wall. One of them was this, which is two V-bombers, but then you've got a Canberra tucked away at the back. Which was always a little bit subtle. So I put that up there. Now I did try to put two extra pictures up on this wall here, but this wall here is made from the white stone wall. You can see, I don't know how thick that wall is. If I go here, our walls are crazy thick. And so I wasn't actually able to get the nails to go in. I need to spend a little bit more time with that, potentially drill it out, put some wood in and then hammer the nails in. And these pictures are down here, so I'll quickly show you these as well. So we've got one that my dad took, which is a tornado, which is awesome. And then another one which is two flying acrobatics. So eventually, hopefully, these will go here on this wall here, and that will be my nice little kind of homage to my dad, which is really, really pleased. I actually did put another one up, which is nothing to do with hobbying, but look at that little pumpkin with some of our cucumbers that we harvested. So that's now put up over here as well. So I do my exercises in here, which is nothing to do with hobbying, but anyway. And so when I'm running on the spot and doing my jumps, I get to look at my dad and Rosie, and obviously that makes me very happy. Anyway, really good to get this picture up, and hopefully I'll get the other two up soon. I'll probably film when I've done that as well, just to show you what it looks like, because this is all part of that little diorama that I did for the Canberra. Well, I managed to get them hung, which I'm really, really pleased with. And I think that just looks lovely. I'm so happy with that. So what I did was I got my drill and I got a couple of dowels, you know, like the ones you get in flat pack furniture. Drilled a hole in the wall, hammered the dowel in the wall, and then hammered my picture hanger hook thing into that. And it worked. I stole the idea from my builders. That's what they do all the time, but they carve a bit of wood down and use that. That's how they do it. But yeah, that's worked really well. So there we are. I'm not sure if there's going to be another picture to go up on the left. I don't have one right now, but yeah, pretty pleased with that. So just as I'm editing this video, this is how it looks today. So I've got a couple of cards that were sent to me when he passed, and I also found these, if that will focus, there we are. These are woodcuts that his dad did. Not really wanted to focus very well, but they're woodcuts that his dad did, so I put those up as well. So yeah, just a quick clip to show that this little area is still developing, and there's still space for more stuff if I decide to.
put more stuff up there. But yeah, I still love it so much. Well, there we are. It turned out absolutely perfectly. And like I said in the intro, it's up in the library, just next to the door. So when you walk through, it's right there with the painting of him that was done for my 40th and a few other bits and pieces that were his and remind me of him. So thank you so much for watching this video. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't be shy. I love reading those comments and I reply to all of them. And I'll wrap this up, particularly meaningful on this, because you never know when it's going to end. Please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.